Okay, he can get a fair way back. I don't know whether it's a day to get too far back today, but for me, I'd rather wait for him next time. He's 20-1. I thought Mama's Little Helper was one of the main players here. She covered a bit of ground last time from an awkward gate from that 1,300-metre shoot at Seymour. It probably didn't hinder her too much. Jason Benbow was on RSN Racing Radio this morning saying that they believe she does appreciate a bit of space rather than being cluttered up amongst horses. So Jace is back in the saddle today, and he's ridden her in previous campaigns as well. She's won out to 1,400 metres. She was good at Wagga winning in her second start back from a break, and she's been consistent placing every run since. So it's just a matter of time before she wins to the winner's enclosure in a pretty moderate race. She looks well placed. She's coming off some good form as opposed to some of these that are struggling to find their best. Here's Von Harp. Well, Von Harp is a city-performed horse. Won 1,400 metres last prep. Started off the campaign at 1,000, and that was too short. And I think today, starting off at 1,300 is a big positive for it. Even though in the previous campaigns we've noted it hasn't been really a fresh horse, those fresh runs have been over much shorter trips than this. So I'm expecting at the 1,300 metres fresh it to run a much better race than perhaps the market expects. It's in my selections, the 10 Von Harp. Well, Cleaver is horse number 11. Cleaver's only won one race, but it was a good quality 2-year-old race at Wodonga. It wasn't beaten that far one day when it went to Sandown at the end of its last prep. The recent return also at Wodonga was good, getting a long way back but running on strongly. Normal race style is to see him sit back in the field and finish off. Again, he'll be reliant on a bit of pace and some luck, but second up today, he can improve. Saying that in the past, or he can only go on really one second up run previously, but he failed. He seems to run quite well fresh, as at least his statistics suggest that that is the case. Never unplaced first up, but second up not as strong, but that's only from one opportunity, so may not be the best guide. And Lightly is the 12. Lightly, to my eye, looked to be solely a non-TAB horse at the start of his campaign, but he has since, or she's since progressed, and she's performed quite well in some better class provincial TAB meetings. She was good even in a city class race last prep, finishing 3 lengths behind them at Sandown one day. On Pacer, who went too quickly in an apprentices race, 2 starts back at Seymour, back to 1,300 last time, was strong, but just maybe out-sprinted at the end. The fact that this track generally plays to On Paces is a plus for her at the 1,300, but with her 2 wins being 1,400 and 1,600, I would prefer her over a slightly longer trip, but if there's not too much pressure here and she can roll along, that's the key to her, sort of upping the speed prior to the bend. They might be able to run her down. If it's a sit and sprint, she backs off the pace and then she's asked to sprint. I think something may be able to go quicker than her. So, of course, Craig, who has ridden her last start, would be aware of that and be trying to ride her to her best. She's an $8 chance. So $3.40 for Roman I. There's been strong backing for him. There he is on screen at the start. He's my top pick over Mama's Little Helper, who's also been given some specking from 5 into 460. We have the 6 Atlas Rising at 5 out to $7. 11 Cleaver's been very steady at $5.50, and the 12 Lightly is 6 out to $8. But my numbers here are 2, 9, 10 and 12. 2, 9, 10 and 12 runners now at the start. So we'll have these horses move up shortly. In the meantime, we might queue up a replay for you, and hopefully this is some food for thought. It was a bit of a battling performance by every horse in this race. It took a long time for them to come up the straight, and no one was really making up any ground. It was just one of those strange events in which the winner sat second outside the speed, and horses just held their position to the line, including Roman I, who was third on the fence and had every possible chance. But on the synthetic track, now coming to Echuca and a step up in trip, I'm sure can run into the money today. There it is, just about to angle from the fence. Probably lost a bit of ground, having to jut out very sharply, as you'll see. Just ran into a traffic end on the back of the leader, and then steadily made up ground once rebalanced.
Roman I went to second, but Rose Patton beat Roman I. Third, a photo between Demi the Dancer and Triple T's Not Sure. Captivating Lady Sky Ruby show a bit of...
So Roman I has been backed into $3.40 from $4, and looks to be the Sporting Bet Australia market mover. It's horse number 2, Roman I, as runners arrive at the start. Mama's Little Helper out to 5, Cleaver out to 6, and Atlas Rising now at $8, Lightly out to 9. In the quaddie, it wasn't the most popular result. Race number 5, we saw a $12 winner in the 3 Scene of the Crime for Sean Dwyer and Jack Hill in race 5. So number 3 you need going forward in the quadrella. This is the second leg, but also the first leg of the daily double. Correct way through at Randwick, 1, 7 and 12, Glenn Schofield with Snitsky. A big weekend for the Schnitzels, with a couple winning on Friday night at Moonee Valley as well. And there we see the details on screen. All right, we might go upstairs and join Rick for his commentary here, race 6.
Right, Adam, about to come into line here for race number 6 on the card. Border in Hotel Motel Handicap. 1300. They don't run too many 1300s here at Echuca. They really don't. They've got that 1400 metre start, which is such a big run to the first turn, and I can't recall the last time they had a 1300 here, but this is one today. Roman Eye is the favourite, solid favourite, 3:30 on track. Mama's It'll Help Us out to 5, Cleaver out to 6, Atlas Rising out to 8, and Lightly out to 9. That's the action here. And the field being loaded. Going into line. Shaput in that Colac meeting at the weekend's been washed out. Murtoa and Gunbower with their cups this Saturday. Big ball at Cup Eve ball at Gunbower too. They've revamped the Cup Eve ball. You can probably get yourself a ticket if you go and inquire at the office today. But otherwise, contact the club there. Going to have a big night out. Cup Eve ball, Gunbower on Friday night. Tickets available. Some brilliant entertainment. And then the Cup, of course, on Saturday. Up into line now comes Mama's Little Helper. And the last one will be Designer. And we'll be ready to go. Race 6 at sunny Echuca. Designer to come in, and we'll be ready for the border in Hotel Motel. Starter Mr. Gath has the button. They're right to go, and they're off now. Atlas Rising jumped out pretty well. Not as well as Lightly, who's attempted to bounce straight to the lead and does from Mama's Little Helper. Designer goes forward quickly from the outside. Then Roman Eye trying to get across as well. Cleaver trying to keep it deep, and Atlas Rising on the fence. Little Gaz was next from Iconic Princess, and Von Harp was back at the tail end of the field between runners as they went past the 1,000-metre mark. There seems to be plenty of pace on. Designers worked over from the outside gate. Mama's Little Helper is coming up to second, and Lightly's there on the inside at the 800. Roman Eye trying to restrain him to fourth, but he's fighting the rider a bit. Cleaver next from Atlas Rising on the inside, and then Von Harp, Iconic Princess, and Little Gaz was last on the rails. Only 4 lengths first to last at the 600 in the border in Hotel Motel, and Designer on top. The outside Lightly, Mama's Little Helper third. Cleaver's had a beautiful run. Then Roman Eye, who's covered a little bit of ground from Atlas Rising on the fence, and further back in the race then to Iconic Princess and Von Harp in the straight. Lightly quickly travelled up to take over here. Cleaver's the one that's had the best run. He comes out to tackle it. Designer's gone, then Atlas Rising, followed by Mama's Little Helper, but Lightly was quickly collared by Cleaver, who's had a beautiful run in the race, and it dashed away. Atlas Rising running on, but it's all Cleaver by 2 3/4 to Atlas Rising. A length to Lightly third. Fourth in Designer, then Mama's Little Helper. Roman Eye didn't have much luck. It finished with Von Harp and Iconic Princess, and Little Gaz was the last one in.
You could read it a fair way out, couldn't you? Cleaver, who just had out one back behind Lightly, quickly went up, took the front, straightening for home, and has been able to let down strongly. Lightly tried hard. Designer raced on pace, but weakened. Atlas Rising freshened back to 1300. That's an improvement by her. She really attacked the line well, so maybe after that month and a half off, she can find a win shortly. Roman Eye just couldn't slot in. It was 3 wide for most of the trip. Had some cover when Mama's Little Helper came out towards the bend. But apart from that, didn't have much respite in running. Von Harp tracked through in the light blue colours. But Cleaver, who was about a length and a half in front of at that stage, just booted away. And it only ran on in steady fashion with Iconic Princess, Little Gaz out the back. But the two favourites, Mama's Little Helper and the white cap, left of screen, and also Roman Eye, they've finished towards the tail of the field. So a few disappointments there. But Cleaver at 4.20. It was a spec from $6 into $5 here on course, and Cleaver, who had that one run back the other day at Wodonga, was able to step up slightly and trip, but the key was getting it into that good position, because normally he gets a long way back in his races.